Good evening. It is Thursday, October 6th, 2022, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamb Sports Show. And by live, of course, I mean we're being recorded.
Yeah, you gotta edit that.
I know. I mean, I say stuff and then I don't
Although, I mean, we've talked about this before. This is live for us.
Right. It's a live recording.
But I guess if you're speaking to other people saying good evening.
The Best Lamb Sports Show is recorded live in front of no studio audience.
Unless, of course, you're speaking directly to me when you say good evening. You are listening.
I mean, technically, you're the audience when I'm talking.
Because then it is live.
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. Anyway, I'm your host, David Lamb. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
There's the studio audience. That's what we're talking about.
Grazie. Oh, jeez. They can go louder.
They can. They get pretty loud in here. I mean, if I rile them up beforehand. Plus, there's free beer. So
there's a fun podcast I've been listening to. It's the Scrubs Rewatch podcast with Zach Braff and Donald Faison.
Yeah. And
they constantly are telling their producer to do things like, his name is Daniel. And they're like, come on, Daniel, put in thunderous applause right here. Thunderous applause.
Thunderous applause.
And it always sounds like that. It just gets really loud for a second and goes away.
I think they can get even louder. But I don't want to get into that. I mean, because then
most thunderous applause.
Then we have people running on the field and stuff. We don't want any of that. And by the way, still this podcast, we're on episode, I don't remember. It's 97 or 98.
So close.
And I know. And we still haven't broken a Microsoft Surface tablet yet. Just FYI.
Doing better than Brady?
I mean, he's broken a number of them. Not only one this year so far, but I mean, I guess apparently when he was in New England, that was a thing too.
I know we're going to cover that later, right? Are we going to talk about Tom Brady breaking
a little bit.
Tablets?
Well, maybe not the breaking of the tablets, but we're going to cover Tom Brady.
Then I'll address that now.
Okay.
Why does the NFL care that he's smashing? They just don't like Tom Brady being angry on television? Because they're instituting a fine for that now. Like,
I mean, it's almost nothing to them, right?
What do you care?
Unless he breaks one a game, and then it's a thing. I mean,
he smashes it over the head of your cameraman, that's one thing, but he's slamming it on a bench.
First of all, it's unsportsmanlike. I mean, right?
if we penalize people for everything they do that's unsportsmanlike.
I mean, I know we don't arrest people for being creepy, but what I'm saying is, if young kids are out there watching, they're going to throw down their Surface tablet at home.
Those impressionable minds are going to be like, I want to break my tablet the moment
right?
I don't.
Yeah, if I don't agree with things, I'm going to yell at my teammates. I'm going to throw my tablet on the ground.
I just don't. I literally, they got guys out there taking helmet-to-helmet hits, and their concern is the tablet, the way it looks when Tom Brady smashes a tablet.
I'm sure that they'll address it in the latest update of the concussion protocol.
Yeah, that's right.
The tablet concussion protocol. Yeah.
The 2022 story, tablets and concussions.
That's all we're going to end up talking about in the NFL this year. So we're on YouTube and we're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email us lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage. You can find links to the past shows. The current trivia question is almost always posted to the website, and I only say almost always because sometimes I'm a slacker. That's all I'm going to say.
I like that vague amount of certainty. Almost always.
If it's not, just answer the other one again. You'll know the answer.
It's true.
You won't be wrong. You'll impress your friends.
You can't get it wrong more than once.
It's like watching the Jeopardy episode that you saw earlier in the day in the Eastern time zone, and now you're watching it out west, and you can say, hey, I know all the answers to this. I don't know.
There's a TV show where somebody's like, if you could travel through time, what would you do? And it showed somebody doing that. Like they were ahead watching Jeopardy, and then it showed them with their friends like, I know this one.
I bet you I know the answer to this. I can answer all of these questions. You should be on Jeopardy. I like that. The NFL this year, unpredictable at best. I guess that's the way I can describe it. I normally by this time, 4 games, and we're in week 5. We're starting week 5 tonight. And by the way, Denver and Indianapolis are playing a really crappy game on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully you don't have Amazon Prime and you're not watching it. But anyway,
it's It's a barn burner over there, people.
It really if you like close football games, then I guess you're gonna like this. But
this is crazy. This is from all the same people who are like, oh, we like the SEC because of defense. They're like, this game is crap. It's like, I'm confused.
Yeah.
But these offenses suck. So so there's that.
It's 2 of the 3 worst offenses in the NFL in terms of points per game, right? Playing each other, and they played so far through 3 quarters. They've played just like that. We'll talk about that.
LSU Alabama games of old.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Oregon Ducks went out and won again to go to 4-1. Aaron Judge breaks the American League home run record. And do we care? Should we care? I know, right? And so all of that, and we've got more. Formula One, MLS, hockey. If we get to it, I don't know. I don't know if there'll be time. Bed Bath and Beyond. I don't know. So the first segment, right? The first segment of the show is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services. It's all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. Phone number 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. That's The Range. Educate, equip, and empower. So, let's start with Aaron Judge, because he's got nothing else really to... I mean, this is important. It's topical. Hit his 62nd home run of the season Tuesday night at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, in the Yankees' 3-2 loss to the Rangers. Judge passed. Hang on, this thing's going like a mile a minute. I don't mean for it to go that fast. Let's go back.
Oh, let it run.
Well, it's only got. It goes into things that I don't.
You can try and keep up with it.
I have to talk a lot. I got to get a lot faster. So, Judge passed Roger Maris for sole possession of the American League home run record with 62. Here's my question. Well, a couple of observations. Major League Baseball must need something to woo the fans or to get people to watch baseball because they made such a huge deal out of this. It is a big milestone. I mean, it is. But there are 6 other seasons where guys have hit more home runs than this, all in the National League. So there's that. But I don't find it to be as big a deal. If I was 6 foot, what is he? 6'7", 2 what?
I literally have it written down. 6'7", 282.
Yeah, 6'7", 282.
And Roger Maris is 6 foot 200.
I was gonna say the same thing.
I love that we both had the same thing.
I was gonna say the exact same thing. That the fact that Roger Maris was so little. When does the investigation begin into Aaron Judge and why he only hit 39 home runs last year and 62 this year?
Suspicious.
Is it the ball? Is it the bat? Is it juicing? What is going on? Now he's also hitting 3 something. So, but Barry Bonds, when he hit 73 home runs, he hit 3 something too. Barry Bonds hit a lot higher. He hit like 350 or something, or 340. So I'm confused as to why, if we're going to investigate Bonds and McGuire and Sosa, how come we haven't started an investigation into Judge, who he did have a 52 home run season his second year, but his home run production, he played for part of a season the first year he came in, and then he played his rookie year, technically 52 home runs. The second year, he got hurt, I think, didn't play much. Then he came back and he had 27 home runs, got hurt for another part of a year, then had 39 home runs, and now has 62. So he hasn't hit like 60 consistently, or even 40 consistently.
Yeah, he's kind of had a good year.
Yeah, this is like way more than normal. So when does the investigation start? We're not going to sully his name because baseball needs something to hold on to right now, or is that a wrong observation, or I don't know. I feel like
tomorrow it'll start.
I'm calling for the investigation right now.
That's okay.
Not that we're gonna get one, but I'm calling for it.
Cool.
All right. So
I got a trivia question for you.
Well,
about Roger Maris and Aaron Judge.
Oh, nice. Go ahead.
Okay. Roger Maris. So obviously his record was broken. No big deal. Whatever. But he holds another national record in a different sport, in football, high school football. What is that record?
Roger Maris does?
Mm-hmm. And still his record. He holds a national high school football record.
I don't know. Shoot.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Hold on. 6 foot what? 200?
6 foot 200.
So, assuming, I mean, that sounds quarterbackish or wide receiver-ish.
Hmm.
So
Good guess.
I don't know. Maybe interceptions in a game for a high school player. I don't know. What is it?
His most returned touchdowns in a single game.
Really?
He returned 4 touchdowns in a single game in 1952, and that is his record.
Really?
That is his national record. Yeah, it still stands.
Wow. So there you go. He still has a record. I like it.
Yeah. Watch Aaron Judge come get that one.
Yeah. You're going to have to finish high school first.
Aaron Judge is going full Jump Street, and he's re-enrolling.
23. It's 99 Jump Street.
99 Jump Street. I like that.
Gosh. That's a good one. I like that one. Hold on before we go on to the other Yahoos. You know, I'm going backwards. Why does it start playing when I just want to go forward a frame? By the way, Mr. Judge has struck out 175 times this year. He didn't lead the league this year, but the year he hit 52 home runs, he did lead the league. He had 200 and something strikeouts. So he strikes out a crap ton. So it's more feast or famine. Over half of his base hits are extra base hits. I don't know. It's weird. So it's either he crushes it or he don't hit it at all. But he does hit at a pretty good clip. He's still hitting, 311. I think he's second in the American League. If he had gotten his was second, if he had gotten his batting average up in the last couple games, he could have won the Triple Crown, but he didn't.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm sad. I feel sad for him. We should all be sad. The Mariners are in the playoffs after a 21-year absence. The M's finished 2022 with a 90-72 record. Will be the number 2 wild card team from the American League. That's identically the same record as last year, 90-72. It's the exact same record as last year when they didn't make the playoffs.
Same thing as last year,
but they added more teams this year. So there's more teams in the playoffs this year.
Wait, would they have gotten in last year?
No, they didn't. If they had expanded the teams?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. Way to go.
Because what I'm trying to ascertain here is, did everyone play significantly down? Were people beating each other a little more, and that's why they were kind of elevated up within their spacing?
So last year, the American League East was way better than it was this year. And by that, I'm going to tell you the answer. So last year, the Rays won 100 games, Yankees 92, Red Sox 92, Jays 91. The Mariners won 90. So they would not have made the playoffs last year if they were expanded. They would have been they would have been the fourth. They would have been the first team out, a game behind Toronto. So last year, the teams in the American League were way better than. Yeah. So
okay, that makes sense.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. I found the answer. Whew, didn't know if I'd get that one. Anyway, long story short, they're going to travel to Toronto, by the way, to play best of 3 series that starts tomorrow. And so the way they've done this is last year you had 2 wildcard teams that would play a 1-game playoff, and the winner then played the number 1 seed in your league. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the number 2 and 3, the other division winners, would play in their series. This year, the number 1 and 2 division winners with the best records get byes, while the number 1 wild card and number 2 wild card play against each other. The winner plays the number 1 overall seed. The number 3 wild card and the lowest record division winner play, and the winner will play the number 2 seed. So it's weird. It's a funky system that they got going on. But so long story short, they're going to play the Blue Jays, and they're all 3-game series. These wild card series are all 3-game series, best of 3. All the games are in one location. There is no back and forth. So Seattle,
I like that.
For Seattle to move forward, they'll have to win 2 games in Toronto. So of the 3. So there you go. So
I like that.
A little bit of fun. On the other side, Mets and the Braves came down to the final weekend before the Braves clinched the National League East. They finished with identical 101 and 61 records, both teams, but the Braves win the head-to-head matchup for the season. So Atlanta gets a first-round bye. Mets are going to be hosting the San Diego Padres for their wildcard series. That starts tomorrow night. That's the featured game on, I think it's ESPN. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, so 5 o'clock Pacific if you want to watch playoff baseball. If you want to watch the Mets Padres. So the Dodgers finished 111 wins. 111-51, best record in baseball. They're number 1 in the National League. Houston Astros finished 106-56. They are tops in the American League. The other wild card series, Tampa at Cleveland, and then Philadelphia at St. Louis. So all those games, all those series start tomorrow night or tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time, by the way, is the first one. So there's like four baseball games on tomorrow. Playoff baseball will be on all day.
Like that.
Yeah. So playoff baseball is really the only baseball you need to watch. I'm going to say that right now, and there's probably people who disagree with me, but 162 games is a long season, and you cheapen the crap out of it when you have wild card teams that could vary in record. The example I'm going to give you is that the Mets this year won 101 games. They're the first wild card team, right?
Yeah.
The lowest, the third wild card team into the playoffs is the Phillies, right? The Phillies.
Sounds right.
And it's not the Phillies. It is the Phillies. It's not the Phillies. What did I just say? Yeah, it's the Phillies. Good Lord. Phillies won 87 games. So the Mets won 14 more games than them over the course of the season. But they're both in the playoffs. And it could come down to one, you know what I mean, a series where the Phillies could have a chance to win. Well, so what was the point of playing 162 games if you're going to beat a team by 14 games in the standings, but you still have to play them again? That it cheapens the whole regular season thing. The season's too long anyway, but
yeah,
that's what I think.
15 game season.
Yeah, 15.
Go back to let's
just play
just
play everybody once, and we'll have head to head.
Play your divisional teams twice. Play everyone outside your division once.
Nah, just one time.
Move along.
Play everybody one time. That way you already have a head to head. You won or you lost.
Or just have one series against each team. You
should
be able to figure out what you need out of that.
Yeah, that's the point. Good point. 3-game series with each team. I like it.
Yeah, it means you play 60-game season, give or take.
I like it. I'm okay with that.
Save everyone some time. We could start baseball when it's July, when it's actually
so it's not
nice
snowing
out,
in Chicago.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
let's make it from June to September, so nobody has to get their football messed with by baseball.
World Series ends by the middle of September, so we don't screw with anything.
You know what? I don't even like that. Let's move it back a little further. Let's go May, and it ends in August. Yeah. August 30th will be the last day of baseball.
Still snowing in Chicago in May. Just FYI. I mean, it can.
It can.
All right. So anyway, all those things start tomorrow. The whole baseball starts tomorrow. So here's my trivia question: is baseball too? So I thought we would talk about that.
Okay.
So that's not where I'm supposed to be. You know what? I don't have the right thing come up, and I'm never in the right place at the right time. Trivia question is this: the Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question brought to you by Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Barry Bonds holds the Major League record and the National League record, because it's the same, for intentional walks in a season. The year he hit 73 home runs, he was intentionally walked 120 times. Okay, which is almost once a game if you play every game.
Yeah.
So my question is this: who holds the American League record for intentional walks in a season? Right? What American League player has been intentionally walked the most in one season? That's the question.
Okay.
And if you know the number, I will be impressed.
Oh, I will not know that.
Yeah, it's tough. But if you can give it close, we'll call it good. All right. I know, right? It's a stumper. All right. So there you go. I thought it would be fun. Sergio Perez won the Singapore Grand Prix on Sunday, leading almost wire to wire, overcoming a 5-second penalty for a safety car infringement that was added on near the end of the race. They actually found out they were going to have the penalty at the end of the race. So he got a much better start than pole sitter Charles Leclerc. Took the lead heading into turn 1. And he was challenged at the end. Leclerc came up and provided some tense moments, but Perez is like the ultimate hold-off defensive driver. He is hard to get around. He held off the Ferrari driver numerous times, pulled away to win by over 7 seconds, so the 5-second penalty was moot. Points leader Max Verstappen started 8th thanks to a fuel mistake in qualifying. Oh my gosh. He comes in, he had to pit at the last qualifying lap of Q3, and he was 9/10 of a second through 2 sections. He was 9/10 of a second, almost a whole second ahead of Charles Leclerc at that point. But they didn't leave enough fuel in his tank to get a leader out for testing. If he had gone all the way to the finish line, he would have had to drive around the track one more time because he'd have passed the pit.
Okay.
And you have to have one leader at the end of qualifying and at the end of the race for testing by FIA.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have had that much fuel left. So he would have got penalized. He'd have had to start at the back of the grid if he didn't have the leader. So they just pulled him in. So he ended up starting 8th. it was a gigantic mistake, and he was furious. It was over the radio. He was just furious.
Yeah, I remember he was cussing at people.
Yeah, but but it doesn't matter. He started eighth, and then he ended up thanks to a last lap pass of Sebastian Vettel, he finished seventh. Both Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes made huge mistakes during the race and went through corners because it was wet. They were having trouble going from intermediates to slicks. It just never really dried up, even though the rain had stopped at the beginning of the race. It was just wet the whole way, and it was a rough campaign. But anyway, the race got halted for time. It ended up being a 2-hour race. So at the end of 2 hours, they just run one more completed lap, and whoever is ahead, that's the winner. And that happened to be Perez. Verstappen now has a 104-point lead over Charles Leclerc with 5 races left. If Verstappen were to win any of the remaining races, he's going to be the
By win, you mean first place?
First place. If he wins,
so
yeah.
if he comes second or worse,
so
he won't win it, but he could do 2 second places and he'll win it.
If he comes in second in the next race and Leclerc wins, right?
Yeah.
Even if Leclerc has fastest lap, he won't win. He can win the next race with a top 10 finish. So there's just a whole bunch of ways he could win.
Well, he needs X amount of points to hit the point of no return.
Right, but as the races go down, he needs less points. So
right.
So if Leclerc wins every race of the 5 races from here on out, he can score 130 points.
Oh.
He's 104 points behind.
Oh.
That's what I'm getting at.
Oh my.
Yeah, so he needs to win every race just about and have Verstappen not finish in the points in almost every race for that to happen. So if Verstappen just finishes like top 5 for the next couple races, it's over. It's game over.
Dang.
Yeah. So he pretty much has a stranglehold on the championship unless something happens to him. Anyway.
Wow.
There you go. And they'll be in Japan this weekend. So
yeah, they're putting the Honda back on their Red Bull's putting the Honda back on their cars
to appease the Japanese fans or
to try and convince Honda to keep sticking with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're winning races. I don't know why you wouldn't. Anyway, whatever. So anyway,
it's looking like they're not ready to do their own powertrain stuff because they're continuing to seek partnerships with Porsche, and they're continuing to seek partnerships with Honda and things like that. It's looking like that's not quite coming together.
Gotcha.
How they wanted. So that's why I think that they're really making an effort there. So if he were to win in Japan, that would be a big win for Honda.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot more to talk about here. When the season is over with, we're going to talk about all kinds of things, the drivers swapping in places, and it's going to be a whole new look next year, probably on a number of teams, and there's a lot going on. But in the meantime, Max Verstappen's probably going to be crowned as the back-to-back world champion here in about one race or two.
I wonder if Sergio could lead his own team.
Sergio's a good driver. Is
he could he compete against Max?
I don't know.
Because we've always seen him in a position that's complementary to Max.
Right.
Could he compete against Max Verstappen?
Could be. I don't know.
I mean, and also it's the kind of thing where you take him out of the Red Bull car.
Right.
I mean, we all agree it's a combination of driver and car, but you take him out of the Red Bull car, and is it immediately going to affect his ability to be productive?
Which is what I said last year about Valtteri Bottas. If there were no team orders for him to finish second, could he beat Lewis Hamilton?
It's hard to know, right?
Right.
That's all. Because I think that both of them could, if they continued to be in a Red Bull car, but not necessarily giving way to Max Verstappen. I think that Sergio Perez could compete with Max Verstappen week in and week out.
And you saw what happened to Bottas when he went to Alfa Romeo. That's not the same team. It's not the same car.
Yeah,
so,
and he's still doing pretty well, but it's just not as
right.
It's not the same car. Even as bad as the Mercedes has been this year, it's still a substantially better car and stuff like that. So
here's another little bit of trivia for you for this year for F1. Lando Norris is the only driver not from Mercedes, Red Bull, or Ferrari to have a podium finish this year. There you go.
Good for him. Good
after
for
20 races or however many they've done, 19 races, something like that. So yeah, and that's crazy to me. That those 3 teams are just dominated.
It's just crazy to me that McLaren took as big a step back as they did from last year to this year.
Yeah.
Danny Rick has had a hard time getting a hold of a car
It's been rough.
and figuring out what he's. Yeah, it's just been wild.
Yeah,
I don't even know if he's going to end up on an F1 team next
we
year.
don't even know. Yeah, that's going to be a
It's
tough
wild.
one. I mean, someone's going to pick him up. They have to. But the personality alone is worth the publicity and the.
People want to see
Yeah,
Danny Ricciardo.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They love it when he comes to town. I mean, wait till they go to Austin. You see him there in Austin. They just love him in frickin' Texas.
Well, it's because he wore that cowboy hat
Yep.
and that Texas jersey,
Yep.
and people went crazy.
Just crazy. He knows how to play to a crowd. He's not stupid. So
He's
all
a
right.
He's a charming dude.
He is. All right. Let's go talk about the NFL because we got some things to talk about in the NFL. The Chargers and Justin Herbert seemingly back. They looked back to normal-ish after Herbert's broken cartilage, which I didn't know you could break cartilage. I thought that was a soft tissue thing.
I said the same thing to Cassie when they released the injury thing, and they said, "Oh, I was like broken ribs." They're like, "No, it actually broke rib cartilage," and I'm like, "What?
I thought that was like tear cartilage. I didn't know you broke cartilage.
How does that work?"
I'm confused. Anyway,
Yeah.
but apparently you can break it. Nice. and their ugly loss to Jacksonville, that was a really bad game. But they beat a winless Houston team 34-24 on Sunday. And I only say they're winless because it kind of tempers what happened. But Austin Eckler scored 3 touchdowns. He ran for 2, caught another one. That was his first touchdowns of the year, and in game 4. And I fully expected him to be whooping people's fantasy-wise at this point. Yeah. But anyway. So they looked better. Herbert looked better throwing the football. Anyway, I like the way they looked. Anyway, I don't know about you.
Yeah, they look pretty good. I didn't get to see much of the game. I saw mostly highlights and things like that, but they looked pretty good. I mean, but again, it's the Texans. I'm not too sure what you're beating exactly.
And you got to until they play a team with another good pass rush that can put pressure on him and scare him, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, we won't know a whole lot. Anyway. So there was that. That was good for the Chargers. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes does things that I just, you watch it and you go, what just happened?
I think he does things you think that people should do. You would make a comment like, how can you not make that pass? You're an athlete.
Right.
He does that pass. He does make that
But when
pass.
he does it, no one else does it. So you go, okay.
It's just kind of confusing.
Yeah. The spin move, jump pass, like basketball shot to the ends. I don't even understand. Whatever he did, it was amazing. Chiefs beat the Bucks. And by the way, so let's talk about the Bucks and not the team so much, but let's talk about Tom Brady. Is he getting a divorce? They've hired divorce attorneys, both of them already, apparently, according to the media. I mean, she's clearly mad at him because he decided to play football again, I think. You think that's distracting him from the team? Is the team just not as good? Or is he maybe not playing as well? He's got things going on in his life and he can't separate the two now because he never had to worry about it before?
I would say it's probably a combination of both of those things. Okay. A little bit of the team is worse. They have a ton of line injuries. They have a bunch of, they had Mike Evans was out this last game. They've got receiver injuries. They've got tight end injuries. They've got all sorts of problems. And then Tom Brady's dealing with some off the field stuff.
I wouldn't have expected that the only person that could stop Tom Brady was Giselle. I mean, but I guess I
could have guessed that because no one else has proven they could.
Well, that's true.
It's as good a shot as any.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're keeping score at home, Broncos up on the Colts 9-6 with 10 minutes to go in the fourth. 9-6. So that's
a high quality game right there.
We had 15 points of offense from two teams who are averaging about 15 points a game.
It's so confusing. It's so confusing to look at.
Oh, and I know the Colts are better than this. I at the beginning when we had our little preview, I swear I said the Colts would make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they looked
I think
terrible.
I did too. I think I said they were a sneaky team.
Yeah, they look terrible. I mean, now Jonathan Taylor's hurt, right? So
Jonathan Taylor's hurt, yeah.
Yeah, and
now
so
is Javonte Williams for the Broncos.
And now Naheem Hines is out. He got a concussion in this game. Yeah,
like the second carry of the game.
I mean,
he got a concussion.
You got to be ready, man. For play 2, you got to be ready.
So yeah, both of these teams are kind of without their running attack, which is what in the games where they've scored points. It's kind of been their constant.
Yeah, without a run. I think in the NFL, even though it's a pass offense, it's a pass first league. You have to be able to run the football, or they just defenses.
You
are
have
smart
to be
enough.
able to use your running backs,
right?
Like one way or another, like. Yeah, and preferably you should run the football well. But I think the Chiefs could get by without running the ball very well for an entire game. But they still will use their running backs.
Right.
They will throw it to them a lot, or they'll move them around. And yeah, but I do think if you're not the Chiefs,
Yeah.
you need to be able to run the ball.
Let's talk
You don't have
about
to do a lot with it, but you need like 80 yards a game.
let's talk about some more stuff. So Josh Jacobs powered the Raiders past the Broncos last week, running for 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. Las Vegas got its first win of the year. Denver just didn't. Denver's defense is good, but they could not stop him.
Like, yeah, he had a contract day, man.
Yeah, he definitely needed some value added, and he got it.
He did. I did.
Yeah. So also one of those teams that's perplexing me is why the Atlanta Falcons are 2-2.
And on top of the division.
They beat Cleveland 23-20 in an ugly game. Both teams ran the ball well, but it was defense and field goals that decided this game. And Cleveland is one of those teams that perplexes me too. I'm like, they look like, I know the Deshaun Watson thing. I get it. Jacoby Brissett is not a bad quarterback. He looks bad at times so far this year. He has not looked great. But their defense should be winning football games.
Yeah.
But they are not. Anyway, we'll talk about more. Just a minute. Hold on. We got more. New Orleans is 1-3. Minnesota is 3-1. Thanks to a double doink 61-yard field goal miss by Saints kicker Will Lutz, who had hit one from 60 yards less than 2 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one hit the left upright and the crossbar before bouncing back onto the field. So everybody's lucky they're not both 2-2, right? But the Vikings were lucky. This was played in London, and it screwed with my fantasy team because I forgot there was playing a game in London. It starts at like 2 a.m, right?
You gotta be careful.
You gotta watch those.
Catch you sleeping on that one.
And by the way, if you're playing fantasy football, Green Bay and the Giants play Sunday at like dark 30. So beware.
So when they rule out Saquon,
right,
it's coming at 1 a.m.
Yeah, you won't see that notice until you wake up at 6 or 7. You go, what the hell? The game's over. Anyway, that's coming. So there was that game. That was interesting. The Niners. So Trey Lance, we know, broke his ankle against the Seahawks. Now Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback, right? Again. And they went out. They beat Matt Stafford and the Rams on Monday night, 24-9. They're now 2-1 since Garoppolo's come back and be the starter. Jimmy Garoppolo has never lost to the Rams in regular season. He's 7-0. Just FYI. That's a weird number to throw out, but he is. Matt Stafford threw the ball 48 times in this game, targeted Cooper Kupp 19 of those targets, and another 13 went to Tyler Higbee. So there's 32 of his 48 targets. He was sacked 7 times by San Francisco, right? He was also, by the way, sacked 7 times in their loss to the Bills on opening Thursday. So
he's been sacked 14 times between 2 games?
16 times so far this year in 4 games.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Well, San Francisco's defense is really, really good.
Yeah, I know, but geez.
Yeah. And so is the Bills. But yeah, his offensive line has been terrible. So he hasn't had. I mean, I'm not going to blame that all on him. You know, sacks sometimes are a product of quarterback holding the ball too long, but sometimes you just can't get away. There's just nowhere to go. And their team has no running game. The Rams have not been able to sustain a run offense in any of their games. So they know what's coming. You're going to throw it to Cooper Kupp. He's your only target. Used to have Robert Woods to take some pressure away. They don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So they are one-dimensional at best, and it's not working. Although in the game where you know Cooper Kupp is still going to be targeted 19 times, he caught 13 passes.
Yeah.
He's still really, really good.
That dude, man.
He's one of those guys. He's like in the NBA where you say, you know what? I'm gonna let Kevin Durant score 60. I'm gonna hope the rest of the team doesn't beat us.
Yeah. What can you do?
You got to shut everybody else down and hope it doesn't happen. Anyway, there was that.
He's tied for sacks with Justin Fields and Joe Burrow. And guess who's above him? Who's the number 1 most sacked player?
Who's the number 1 most sacked player in the NFL right now?
Yeah.
I haven't looked that up. I don't know.
It's Carson Wentz.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan's coming in there at number 5 with 15. He's going to add a couple to that today.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So there was that. And then so as long as we're talking about this game, let's talk about the idiot that ran on the field during the Monday night game, got hit by Bobby Wagner. And I'm going to be honest, Bobby Wagner could have crushed him harder than that. He didn't hit him full on. He hit him pretty good, but he didn't hit him full on. And then this guy has filed a police report. And I don't know what
interesting.
For. I don't
interesting.
know. What do you file a police report for when you broke the law? How can you do that? I don't understand. But okay.
Well, that's where you get into what is your right as a citizen. So, for instance, you see the police chasing someone.
Right.
Should you slam your car into that person's car? Should you run them over with your car to stop him?
Right.
Like, you're helping the police, you're helping them, but that's also not your job at all. Not even kind of. And I guarantee you, ownership, coaching, management, they're all like, what did you do this for? What are you doing? Like, stay on the sideline. Who knows what this guy's capable of? Why are you anywhere near him? You cost $20 million a year. What are you doing?
Yeah,
what if you dislocate your shoulder on that?
He was protesting something about pigs. I don't remember.
So I kind of get. I understand why he would say, well, because Bobby Wagner's job is to break people.
Yeah, to tackle people. That's what he does.
Bobby Wagner is damn near a registered weapon in terms of when he lowers his shoulder. He could have hit this guy harder. We all agree.
Yeah.
But this isn't some other dude in pads. This is just some random Joe. So he went out of his way, outside of his job, outside of his set of responsibilities, to lay the lumber on an average Joe. Kind of get it, but also you play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah. Let me put it in a different perspective. If a guy with a pink smoke grenade, and I think that's what that was, ran into your place of business where you work, would you get rid of him or tackle him or get him out the store? Would you do whatever you had to do to stop him?
Do I have security?
Well, maybe mall security or whatever. I might be nearby.
Well, but the fact of the matter is the security was actively chasing him.
Yeah, but the security guard got hurt.
They were already on it.
One of the security guards got hurt chasing him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Talk about a workers' comp claim, right?
There's everywhere. But I'm wondering, like, if someone came into my place of business and they were being disruptive, would I do that? Could I do that? Would I do that?
Assuming you would, because there's nobody around to help.
Nobody else was helping, right?
Nobody else was helping. Now, if somebody came running to your place of business with a smoke grenade, followed by two cops, you're probably just going to get out of the way and let the cops do their job.
It's true.
God forbid you end up in a situation where you are misidentified or hurt, or the cop hurts you somehow. Like, who knows? Yeah. Just kind of get out of the way. That's where the logic there comes from. Is this was not your responsibility to go out there and pop. No. Don't get me wrong. Great TV.
I think it was. I think it was. And people
I think it was incredible.
People are talking about it. Great. I mean, it's a great thing for the NFL, honestly.
But so to be angry with him because he's saying, hey, this guy, he stacked up and popped me, and that was not within his rights, responsibilities.
So here's my question.
I kind of get it.
So here's my question. But if a security guard popped him the same way, it's okay.
So I've worked for a bunch of retail places, and every place has very much no engagement policies, right? But also these places don't hire you to be, even if you work in like a loss prevention, let's say like Best Buy, you're not trained to handle somebody,
right?
Like physically. That's not part of your training. These guys, however, are usually licensed by the state,
right,
for security. They are trained to handle people. They are trained to handle weapons, and they are usually trained to handle, like they usually have pepper spray and things like that. So, they're a little more qualified than that. That being said, all you really need is a Bobby Wagner with a set of pads on, and he'll do the job for you.
Terry Tate, office linebacker, man.
That's right. That's what Bobby Wagner, field security. Field level security.
I'm going to hire him. That's exactly what I'm going to do. If I was every other team in the league, I would hire him. Say, you want to come over here for this? Anyway.
He filed this thing. Some judge is gonna look at it and go, "Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy."
Yeah, it's a
He
waste
did not
of time.
need to do that.
Right. Well, and I'm sure that the police, when they took the report, probably said the same thing. Really, you want to file a police? Okay, we'll put it on paper, but
all right, whatever.
We ain't doing nothing.
The legal system for you, man. I mean, everyone's got to be accountable for their actions, and that includes Bobby Wagner, unfortunately.
I guess because in the end, if he had hurt him seriously, there would be repercussions, probably.
The judge is gonna be like, all right, we'll sentence Bobby Wagner to time served. He's good to go.
We put handcuffs on him for 7 seconds. That's enough. Good, done.
Yeah, and that's if it even makes it to this guy's filing a police report, but that's not the same as the police have filed charges.
You know what he wants is money. So,
I mean, and if here's what I'll give it. if he sustained any major injuries as a result of Bobby Wagner having a helmet making contact with your head, you start getting into an interesting gray area there.
I would have
about
a hard time believing that a jury or judge, and most likely to be a judge,
jury would not. No, jury would acquit that.
I would have a hard time believing that a judge would say, you ran onto a professional football field, you disrupted play, and didn't think that this could happen, didn't realize that this was a possibility.
See that, and so that's just it. Then you start getting into, are your players, that's when the NFL will get called into question. Are your players taught to hit fans if they come onto the field? No, they're not. So Bobby Wagner acted out on his own. Okay, very cool. Now the lawsuit is against Bobby Wagner directly, no longer has to do with the team. Bobby, you acted out of spite and out of character, out of turn,
I think
in doing this, and you did it with a helmet on your head. There's legal precedent for a helmet being used as a weapon, like motorcyclists, headbutting people while wearing helmets.
Yeah, but he didn't really use his helmet anyway. So.
No, and this guy was being disrupted. Again, no one's going to take it seriously.
I know. We're all on the same page.
I kind of understand it. You file it, people are going to ignore you, they're going to call you an idiot, and you're going to move along with your life.
Right.
And as long as he's not permanently damaged from it, I don't see any.
If I was the NFL, I would countersue. You disrupted our football game.
Oh, I mean, he's going to get a criminal charge, and maybe he'll have to pay some restitution. Although, let me tell you right now, he did him a service. They got in about another 10 minutes of commercials.
That's
if
always
anything, he's
positive.
owed a couple. This dude is all right.
Maybe he was hired by the NFL.
This dude works for Wendy's. 100%. This dude works for Wendy's and EA Sports, and he's being paid. They're like, "Hey man, Bobby's gonna pop you. It's gonna suck, but
we can squeeze in 6 more of them Reggie Bush commercials."
That's right. That's right.
Get in
we
there.
We gotta start bumping Heisman House here soon.
And let's go. And he was talking about pigs, but they're gonna sell more Baconators anyway.
Absolutely. See, now we're getting
it's all conspiracy
state stuff.
Right. I agree. NFL hired him for sure. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills, who looked terrible until they didn't. But let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens, who looked great until they didn't. Twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, they've dropped the ball at the end.
Collapsed, figuratively and literally.
And literally,
I don't even know what's wrong with the Ravens. 2 games they should have won. They just collapsed in both of them. The Bills had no business winning this game. Their offense looked bad for 3 quarters, and then they win. I don't know. That was a weird game. Tyler Bassett's a 21-yard field goal to win it with no time left, and now the Bills are 3-1 somehow after the 23-20 win. Anyway,
it's crazy.
We'll talk more about that because I still think Buffalo is the best team in this league.
I agree.
I'm going to need them to do something to
and
show
I don't
me.
think it's that close. I think that I thought the Rams were going to be close to them.
Right.
And they're not even breathing the same air. There's no one close to them.
Because let's be honest, the Ravens are 2 quarters away from being unbeaten.
It's true.
And would have beaten the Dolphins, who everyone thinks are a good team, and the Bills, who we know are a good team. I don't know. So anyway, it's just weird that if they could have just held on at all. And that's unusual for a Baltimore team. We all know usually Baltimore's the number 1 defense in the league. I mean, that's just a Baltimore trait, but they're not in the 4th quarter anyway.
Not getting it done.
So let's talk about the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are 3-1. Cooper Rush.
The Cooper boys? I like it.
Cooper Rush, after a 25-10 win over Washington, Cooper Rush looks like, why do you need Dak, right?
Looks like a young Carson Wentz out there.
He absolutely does.
The red hair and everything.
Yeah. And then I still think that, what's his name? Jerry Jones has a penchant for young redheaded boys. But we don't... Just saying. Andy Dalton, Jason Garrett, they've all been there. I'm surprised he didn't go get Carson Wentz, but whatever.
Probably tried.
So Dak is coming back. I mean, I know he's healing, and at some point in time they're gonna want him back. Would you put him in right now?
No.
Not
a snowball's chance in hell.
Right.
Not when you got a good thing going. You don't talk about a streak when you're on a streak. You don't change your quarterback when you're winning games.
Right.
And you're winning games well. You snuck out one, but you've won a couple others pretty well.
And you don't change your underwear.
What are we doing here? You don't change your underwear. Damn it, Cooper. I want to see them streaks. Keep them streaks going, buddy.
I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't either. I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, why would you? You're winning football games, and that's what you're there to do. If you're 3-1, I mean, if you finish this season 12-4 or 13-4, whatever, is that not great? You're going to be one of the top teams in the
He's gonna
NFC.
make the playoffs. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you still got to go through Philly twice, who look
Well,
really good so far. But
okay, let's talk about Philly.
okay,
So the Eagles are 4-0 after beating Jacksonville, who
and Eagles fans will let you know.
they absolutely will let you know. My question is this. I haven't exactly been sold that they're any good. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase that.
No, that's fine.
But I feel like I'm being being shanghaied or something. I'm being
Bamboozled.
This is a team that looks good when they play, but who have they played?
Well, they played Jacksonville, who's currently
2-2.
leading the AFC.
but they beat the Lions week 1 by 3.
Hey, the best scoring offense in the league.
Absolutely. The Vikings, who are 3-1, their only losses to the Eagles.
Vikings are a good team.
Okay, at home. They beat the Commanders on the road, Washington on the road.
You should. They're terrible.
And then the Jaguars. So they've played one.
That's a good team.
They've played one.
They played two good teams. I mean, I know you refuse to believe the Jaguars.
They're not good.
But they're playing like a good team right now. So,
Mm.
Another 6 games, and we'll be able to look back on that and know for sure because if the Jaguars continue winning at their current clip, they're going to have
But let's back up.
12, 13 wins at the end of the season.
The Jaguars have beat the Colts, who we know look terrible so far this year, can't score any points, and a Chargers team with a hurt Justin Herbert. That's who their wins are.
That sounds right.
They lost to the Eagles, and they lost to the Commanders. They lost to the Washington Commanders.
Yeah,
that's the only win for Washington so far this year. So I'm not. I refuse to believe that Jacksonville's good. Now, Jacksonville plays Houston, the Colts again, and they could be 4-2. But then it's reality's going to set in. They play the Giants, Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs, Ravens in a row. Reality's going to set in, and then at the end of the season they play the Titans, Cowboys. So okay, just saying.
Little quick break in here.
Yeah,
the Broncos are up 9-6 with 3:10 left. And they're going for it on 4th and 2 when they could be kicking a field goal and make it where a field goal. Oh, they got it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Never mind.
They got the first down.
Yeah, they got the first down. This game is probably going to end 9-6 and go down as a defensive classic.
Well, now they can try and run out the clock, right?
That's
what
that's
left.
Exactly what they're gonna do, and that's why it's gonna suck bad.
The Colts have 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning still, so there's a chance. But
oh my god!
But the Broncos are within field goal range.
Oh, I hate the Broncos so much. So the other day somebody asked me, and I know we already talked about them a little bit, but somebody asked me about, are you upset with how they've been playing? And I'm like, I'm disappointed, but I've been being disappointed in the Broncos for years. So
it's nothing new.
So every year I get to hear about Drew Lock's the guy, Brock Osweiler's the guy, Paxton Lynch is the guy, Russell Wilson's just the guy.
There's always some guy that's the guy. But...
Every year I've been hearing about it. And I will say I did have more optimism this year, but because of these bad years, I'm able to settle into disappointment a little more comfortably.
I like that.
You kind of go, well, this sucks. You get it as a Dolphins fan. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. Let's talk about Tua real quick.
Yeah.
Tua the Dolphins have another controversy on their hands.
What's new?
They've had a number of them. Tua was concussed, and I'm going to say that, even though they didn't actually say that. Tua was concussed in their win over the Bills. He hit the ground.
It was a back issue, right?
Officially, the Dolphins said it was a back issue.
Correct, yeah.
And then the question was, did he go through the proper protocol to come back in the game and play that day? Right? And if he did, okay, great. But if he didn't, should he have even been in the game on Thursday, which is just 4 days, 4 days? 5 days? 4 days later?
Something like that, yeah.
4 days later.
4 days.
Against Cincinnati, when he sustained the bigger concussion, right? I'm going to read this, by the way. So the NFL and the NFLPA released a joint statement that says that investigation into the application of the concussion protocol is ongoing. They haven't made any conclusions about medical errors or protocol violations. They agree that modifications to the concussion protocol are needed to enhance player safety, and that they've already begun conversations around the use of the term gross motor instability, which
I like that one.
I mean, in other words, acting, loss of motor function, basically.
Wobbly, woozy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And they anticipate changes to the protocol being made in the coming days based on what has been learned thus far in the review process. Anyway, all of this is to say that they fired the independent neurologist that was the NFLPA asked for him to be removed.
Right.
That evaluated him. Well, why did he get evaluated if it was a back injury? Right?
You evaluate spine to
Okay.
spine. You evaluate from what the injury spot, from where they're saying there is an injury up. But we
Sure.
all know they're lying. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was my whole
they're
point.
just lying.
The Dolphins lied and said it was a back injury. It was not. It absolutely was not. And you could see that the way he walked off the field. You could see that the way he was wobbly. His teammates had to hold him up. The way he shook his head, the way he grabbed his head. You know, oh, I understand if you step funny with a back injury, there's that pain, and you could walk funny because of that. I get that.
Yeah.
But you don't normally shake your head when there's a back injury. You shake your head because there's cobwebs, because there's crap going on in there that shouldn't be going on in there.
Yeah.
Or nothing's going on in there. But anyway, long story short, it's he probably shouldn't have been cleared to return to that game. And then here's my further question: if the NFL and the NFLPA revise the concussion protocol, does Tua have a right to say, "Oh well, why didn't you do this before? Why didn't you see that this could have been a problem before?"
Right.
And is that going to be an issue? Tua is in a precarious position when he comes back, because if you get another concussion this year, that might be the end.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a position right now where
Sure, but he's going to
who knows what type of brain damage he has sustained at this point. Like, you could be talking about some other cognitive functions that have already had damage.
Sure.
Like his ability to do simple math, his ability to do things like that. These are all things that could already be permanently damaged. And by continuing to put him out there, you don't know. But of course, there's the obvious risk. You put him out for the next game, he takes a big hit, and his body goes into emergency mode and shuts down function of his extremities in protection of itself. And now you have a guy who's paralyzed from the neck down.
But you and I are probably both 100% certain that he's going to play again this year.
Yeah. He'll play again. My guess is
2 weeks. Not this week, not next week.
I think they're going to give him 3, but I also think that will depend on if Teddy Bridgewater can sustain.
Yeah,
like, if they win, if they go 1-1, they'll give Teddy Bridgewater a 3rd week. But if they go 0-2,
right,
we might see Tua back sooner. So, and the timeline for recuperating after a major neurological trauma is 2 weeks.
Right.
So after you experience a grade 2 concussion, it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks of no contact, 2 weeks of nothing like that. So it would be at least 2 weeks before he could play, before he could take any sort of hit.
If it was a concussion, because
if it was a concussion,
we're not sure.
Yeah. It's just wild.
And we have to get a whole nother neurologist to check him out now.
By the way, Russell Wilson very recently threw a pick in the back of the end zone on 3rd and 5, and
absolutely love it.
And to give the Colts some hope,
right?
With 2 minutes left, minute 48 and counting down, the Colts are currently on the ball. The Broncos are saying they have it after a strip sack. Well, we'll find out.
We're gonna find out.
Oh, never mind. They ruled it. Any hoozles. But yeah, Russell Wilson just gave the ball back and said, "No, let's make this game a little longer."
An 11-play, 72-yard drive that took 4.5 minutes. And they got no points out of it.
And now you get why the Broncos are middle of the road in every offensive statistical category, except.
And now it only takes one broken tackle for Indianapolis to win this game. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeesh. Okay, so there's that going on. There's a lot of crap going on. We could talk about the NFL for hours.
Because we give up a big touchdown, you guys will know.
We could talk about the NFL for hours. There's all kinds of crap.
Could.
Yeah, and there's Matt Ryan. 17 yards downfield.
Yeah.
I mean, geez. They're going to get in field goal range. We're going to overtime. You know it's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, overtime football in Denver.
We're gonna here's the alert. Free football's coming. Let's go to so here's what's this is not the right thing. I don't have the right thing up. Hold on just a second. I don't know what I'm doing. You know that, right?
It's pretty clear.
Okay. Here is the week 5 schedule, if you can see it. I think it's a little low. I tried to do this a different way, but I think it's a little small.
I think it looks kind of nice, though.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it looks good on my screen.
So this is what's going on. You got that Indianapolis-Denver game. Any of these games that pop out at you, the Chargers-Browns is like a must-win for both teams. Kind of. In my
Bengals
opinion.
Ravens looks like it could be a fun matchup. You know, the
Yeah.
Bengals are trying to prove that this isn't a bad season. They're recovering.
Right.
And Baltimore's also trying to prove that
Right.
those couple games were flukes. So
That's Sunday night late.
yeah.
And then I like that the Atlanta Falcons have a chance to be first in the division solely if they just beat Tampa.
Oh, come on, Marcus.
And then the Dolphins Jets is probably the most intriguing one. The Dolphins without Tua, the Jets could be 3-2. Who knew that was a possibility?
New York wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
I have no idea. I don't have any idea what to do with that.
That information's crazy.
It is. It's just ridiculous. Philadelphia's got to play at Arizona. There's another good game that'll be interesting to watch. See if Kyler Murray runs on the field like, and somebody said this, and he runs on the field like he just stole a cell phone from his parents, like a little kid who just stole a cell phone from his parents. He's just all over the damn place, and you can't catch him. You know, you're trying to, but you can't catch him. But it hasn't equated to a whole lot of wins so far this year. I mean, they're 2-2, but it's been a struggle for Arizona. I don't know how good they are, but I don't know how good Philly is either. So we'll find out.
Yeah.
And the Dallas Rams game, I would thought with Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford, this would have been a great game. Now we don't have any Dak Prescott, but they're probably better off without him. And with Matt Stafford, the Rams are probably, the offensive line is so terrible. I think the Cowboys will win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird. That's what I'm saying. This is a weird season. I don't know who to pick in half the games.
I mean, so like looking down, it's like to pick the Bills, right?
Right.
The Packers look like they're rounding out just fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
And the Chargers look, tough. Minnesota's better than Chicago, I think, definitely.
How much?
But there are a couple games on there that are question marks.
How much hallucinogenic drugs can you get in London? Because that'll factor into whether I pick the Packers or the Giants.
I believe there aren't any. I believe recreational drugs aren't legal in London.
Probably.
I don't think you can buy weed in London.
I don't believe that.
I'm sure medically speaking, you can buy it. I mean,
Aaron,
grow it.
Aaron Rodgers can get himself some.
He knows a guy. He'll go hang out with the cast of Ted Lasso. And
maybe it'll just be beer. Maybe he just gets drunk. I don't know.
By the way, did you see the video of the cast of Ted Lasso at the other London game last week?
Yes.
They were all dancing and cheering and singing. I think it was great.
Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. Week 5 is going to be an interesting week. We'll see what happens. Capped off by the Monday night game between the Raiders and Chiefs, and the Raiders could be 1-4 by the time this is over, and pretty much out of contention after 5 games.
Yeah.
Weird. All right.
I have text messages to my buddy Joey to prove that I said the Raiders would be 1-5 to start the season. Because he was like, "Oh, the Broncos are gonna be last in the division." I'm like, "Dude, you could." I said, "You guys could easily go 0-5. I think you're gonna go 1-5." Being fair, I didn't think the 1 would be a win over the Broncos. I thought it'd be a win over the Titans. But I have the record on record.
Yeah, it's on record. So at least we know that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep everybody up to date because we're gonna miss next week because half of the broadcast team is on vacation.
That's right.
But we'll be back the following week. So.
I should get a substitute broadcaster, me and Cassie.
You should. You guys should do a little quick thing. And then, I mean, I like it. Second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty, and I don't have that up either, of course, because you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Did I mention that I don't know what I'm doing?
Well, you said it once, but
it bears repeating.
I'm not sure everyone believed you.
It bears repeating because I feel like every time I do something. And by the way, one more NFL note, just so you know, a New England Patriots fan is suing the New England Patriots because there was irreparable damage caused to a U.S. flag signed by Tom Brady that he claims the New England Patriots improperly displayed at the team's Hall of Fame at Gillette Stadium. He owns the flag and he loaned it to them, and now the signature has faded, which was written in blue Sharpie, has significantly faded, and he claims that it has reduced the flag's value by as much as $1 million, and he's filed suit against them.
Tom, re-sign the flag.
Well, yeah, just have him re-sign the flag. Yeah,
Tom, what are you doing out here?
And it's got 2 Tom Brady signatures on it.
It's got 2 Tom Brady signatures. The
Get controversial
the whole faded one and the new one. No, you don't want out. You put Wes Welker's signature on there, it brings it down.
Yeah, well, maybe you're wrong.
I'm assuming it's from an era when Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls for New England. So.
Anyway, he's
I don't know. That's interesting. Just reach out to Tom Brady, and if Tom Brady hears that, just go send me the damn flag. I'll retrace my signature again.
Anyway, I just wanted to that's weird. It's just one of those things where I go, okay, well, that just ended the fact that nobody else who has any, they're not put anybody else's owned memorabilia inside there. They're gonna have it's gonna be all their own. All the New England Patriots gonna have their own stuff. Anyway, you make it bad for everyone when you do this kind of stuff. So right. 14 seconds left, right? 3rd and 1 at the Denver 8.
By the way, you might be ahead of me, so because I'm watching on my phone.
Gotcha.
You might have a cable box or something.
I'm on the website, so I'm looking.
Oh, that's right, because it's on Prime. When did this happen?
I don't know. I don't like the Prime thing either. I think it's ridiculous.
I don't like it, especially because they're saying the only way you can get it on a regional on your TV is if it's a local game, and I'm like, well, there's no NFL team here. So give me all the local games.
Right? What is going on? Matt Ryan, so stop the clock with 14 seconds left. So it's 2nd and 1 at the Denver 8 is where we're at. So they've got a couple of shots at the end zone before they have to settle for the overtime, which is what's going to happen.
There's controversy after controversy in this game. They were about to run a play. They stopped it so they could pull an injured player off the field. Then they were about to run a play, and now they just stopped it again because the play clock was at the wrong time.
Right.
Like, what is happening here?
Well, now there's a delay of game.
Well, it's
not a delay of game.
I think it's what you're seeing is now. Now I'm thinking you're behind me.
Well, this is the play-by-play pops up, so I think it's after the actual stuff that's up here. Yeah. They're listing the play-by-play after it happens, and I'm not looking at it live. I'm just watching the play-by-play pop up. So
yeah, they're gonna kick a field goal here. They just threw an incompletion on 3rd down, and
now it's time.
Oh, the Broncos! I hate you so much.
We're going to free football, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, let's go. An extra quarter of Broncos football. Let's pad those stats a little bit.
10 extra minutes of nothing.
I'm just saying, all the quarters we can get to put more yardage on the board to increase our standing, but no more points. No more points.
They already need, 6 more points or 7 more points just to get to their season average.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not going great.
It's not great. Second half, and second, stupid. I don't even know where we're just off the rails. Second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty, hand-dyed yarns. Be sure to tune into BossKittyLive.com for knit-alongs, games, fun, and exclusive sales. Go on the BossKittyShop.com website, get your kitty glitter yarn. Looking for a gift, get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty hand-dyed yarns. Yarn so boss you'll knit your pants. That's the short version, because we're running out of time. Let's talk about the Oregon Ducks.
Wait, hold on. Okay. Can I ask you a question about Boss Kitty?
Yeah.
Do you know who hand dyes the yarns?
Yeah.
That's all. Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know if they were hand dyed yarns, but like they came in hand dyed.
No, it's Kurt.
They were.
Okay. It's Kurt and Simi. They actually do it themselves. Oh yeah, in their kitchen. Their kitchen's a mess. Anytime because
there's 1,000 yards.
When you go down there at any point in time, there'll be tubs of yarn soaking in dye, and there's colors everywhere. It's just it's amazing.
That's cool.
They do it all themselves. It's only 2 people in that company, and they do all of the dye themselves. All of the yarn is dyed by them, and they come up with the colors based on all kinds of stuff. But I mean, they have different colorways that are Lord of the Rings colorway, or they've got a Harry Potter colorway.
What is a Lord of the Rings colorway?
Well, you're gonna have the one to rule them all gold.
It's a gold one, okay.
Exactly, or you're gonna have the
Sauron black.
Exactly, they have other colors, and they have
What color would you say describes Frodo? Go.
Well, furry brown.
I was gonna say green because he always wears a green cloak in the
movies.
Well,
that could be. Yeah. No, I think the green is more of a orc or ogre kind of a deal. But
depends on the shade of green.
Correct.
I always thought the ogres were or the orcs were gray.
They kind of are in that.
The Orakai were kind of gray.
Those guys are.
Yeah, then with that weird little handprint on it, so with like hits of white in it.
Oh, see, perfect little white flecks.
If Boss Kitty is not taking notes,
they should be. I mean, we could come up with all kinds of stuff, but I mean, they've already done a whole bunch of these things.
The Ents, those are the green ones.
The Ents are the trees, yeah.
The Ents are the green the green dye. Yeah, okay.
All right, so
off the rails.
Woo! Let's talk about longest show ever, and we don't even know what we're talking about. Oregon bounced back from the beatdown at the hands of Georgia by beating Eastern Washington 70-14, taking down number 12 BYU 41-20 in Eugene, beating Washington State and Pullman in dramatic fashion 44-41, and that was an amazing game to watch. If you just watch the fourth quarter, that's all you need to see. Saturday, they dominated a Stanford team that is 1-3, whose only win is against Colgate, so that's not as exciting as it sounds. Bo Nix ran 6 times for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also threw for 2 more TDs, and Oregon led this one 45-17 late in the fourth quarter before Stanford scored some garbage points. The only thing I really want to make about statement I want to make about this game is if you're going to have short green shirts and yellow pants, you don't need yellow T-shirts underneath because these guys look like they were wearing these high-waisted pants
I see what you're saying.
the
I've seen the
entire
pictures.
game. It needed to be a different color. All I saw on Bo Nix when he's running down the field is grandpa pants. They were pulled way up. But I'm like,
Grandpa pants.
it wasn't his pants. It was just the T-shirt that was underneath the jersey. This picture right here, by the way.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm like, what is he wearing? Anyway,
It looks
so-
like it actually kind of looks like pregnancy pants. Like they got that,
Kinda.
like, the
You can
little
expand,
elastic,
yeah.
wide waistband area
Yeah.
to go over the belt. Yeah, that's kind of what.
Some of those guys
I
might
get
need
that they're not compression shirts. Well, I mean they're kind of tight on them, but they're not compression shirts. But this is like a fad of like football players, college football players. You don't see it a lot in the NFL because the NFL has much tighter uniform restrictions.
right.
Of like rolling up their jerseys.
I don't understand.
Kind of like, do you remember like 2000, circa 2000 to 2007? Like girls would like roll over their shorts at the waistband.
Yeah.
This
make
is
'em-
like
yeah.
this is like the athlete version
I guess
of
so.
that.
Hey,
They
what-
lift they wear pants that are above their knees. They're like right now I'm looking at a picture on the screen here. Guy on the left is tackling him.
Yeah.
That is a uniform violation. Another guy right there. Referee should stop this. You absolutely have to cover your kneecaps in Division I football.
Sure.
It is really confusing. But did they go above their kneecaps
The guy,
and then
on
they roll their shirts up?
the guy, like this guy here.
Yeah.
His whole knee. It's not even kneecap. His whole knee is exposed. It's up into his thigh.
It's I mean, I'm seeing on Bo Nix where his pants are on his leg there.
He's got knee pads.
That's a mid thigh hit. Yeah.
And you know the only person that's ever been penalized for it is a punter, right? That for the NFL. What's his name? Got he got kicker. Was it kicker?
Yeah.
He got penalized for having his his shorts.
It's funny because our players would go out to warm up when I was at PSU. They'd warm up on the field. The referees would walk around. So it's a lower division, but I guess in that regard, the officials take it more seriously.
Yeah.
Because they're not like as willing to forgive things for showmanship or whatever. But so they're walking around the field, and then they come at some point they'll flag me or my coworker Matt over, and we'd go running over there, and he'd hand us a list of players who had uniform violations.
Yeah.
And we'd say, okay, number 17, his pants aren't long enough. Number whatever, but his shirt needs to come down. Tell what's his name to tuck in his back plate.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. All this crap, and I see it all week after week in college football, and I'm like, I don't understand how these officials are paid
Yeah.
because they're letting so many things go.
It's not a thing in any sport anymore. They've got the rules.
I think in Power 5 sports,
Yeah.
Not Power 5 sports, but in Power 5 and maybe we'll say your Group of 5, in Division I football, FBS, they do not care.
They don't care.
They don't care, which is unfortunate because there's no point in having knee pads if your knee's exposed.
That's a good point.
Like, what are we doing here? Why don't we just make them shorts? Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
So big. The shorts.
Just make them shorts. Just
the
make a
shorts
little
are
thigh
so-
pad on there and just bring it up.
Show shorts. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it is
like
what
the
it
idea of playing in shorts. I would have loved that. When I was in high school, we played in half shirts. They weren't. You couldn't tuck them in. They were half jerseys.
Oh, that's right. But they were like loose, right?
Loose with
Well,
mesh.
that's because your pads, and I've not seen them, but I know it were huge.
Huge. We didn't have these little pads. They were big old pads.
These pads that they have now are incredible.
They're for
so
7-year-olds.
light and they're so strong.
Yeah, I
They
know.
can take such an impact on them,
Yeah.
and it distributes that power. So it's incredible.
See, I feel like if I had played football now, I'd be much better because I would be short about 30 pounds worth of gear. Right?
Your
I
helmet
could
would have
run,
weighed a lot less.
run
your
faster. I
pads
could
would've
have
weighed a
jumped
lot less.
higher.
Your
Everything would
cleats
have been
would've
great.
shaved off about a pound.
It's ridiculous. You don't realize that those shoulder pads that I
Yeah.
wore are the same size as middle linebackers in the 80s, right? These
Yeah.
gigantic shoulder pads, and that was the same thing you wore to play wide receiver or running back or whatever.
But what you lose in weight, you would gain back bicep bands and
I
wristbands
suppose. Yeah, all the
and other accessories on your arms.
I don't know. I feel like I could have benefited from the new rules, but whatever, or lack of rules. Let's call it that. And so the Ducks are the schedule's going to get significantly harder. They still have UCLA coming in town in 3 weeks. Washington comes to Eugene, and so does Utah. So all those games against the tough teams, those 3 ranked teams, are all coming to Eugene, which is fantastic. Schedule sets up pretty well for them. Ducks are averaging 50 points a game over the last 4 weeks. So that's been. I mean, they're good. They're playing well. I still have some defensive questions. When they play one of these teams, UCLA will be the first test because that's a good running team.
Yeah.
I don't know how that'll work out, but hopefully. But we got
That
Arizona.
UCLA game's gonna be great. I saw the jersey today.
Like,
I
we're not
saw the
even there
jerseys
yet.
they're gonna wear.
It's
It's black jersey, bright pink number, with Volt black wings on the shoulder, with Volt accents within the wings, and a Volt colored the Volt nameplate on the back.
interesting. So the
They
pink for
are
the cancer.
breast
Yeah,
cancer
breast
awareness
cancer.
game.
Right.
Yeah, they
All right.
are loud.
Not going to wear those pink helmets ever again, are they?
They haven't released the helmets for it. Like they haven't said what those are going to be. They've just mentioned what the jersey's going to be.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't mind the pink helmets. They just didn't go with what they were wearing.
Well, it's because at that time they didn't do anything to the jersey. They just
Right.
wore a pink helmet. It was random.
Yeah, it was
Now
weird.
I think whatever they do will be top to bottom. I'm
Yeah.
really hoping they do a black helmet that is gradient black to pink on the wings. I think that would match the jersey, or black to Volt on the wings. I don't know, because they have it looks like they're clearly doing some Volt accents, but I don't know what their pants look like. I don't know what their helmets.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing except for the jersey.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out. Anyway.
We'll learn today.
Right. So, in other action in college football over the weekend, the Oregon State Beavers fell to 3-2 after being hammered by Utah, 42-16. The game was 21-16. To give the Beavers some credit, it was 21-16 Utah about midway through the third quarter before Utah finally scored the last 3 touchdowns of the game and put it away. The Beavers didn't play terrible for 2.5 quarters, but in the end, they're now 3-2, and this is a team that, had some expectations, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Up to this point, they're still got some tough games left to play, so I don't know what they're going to end with, but I mean, 6 or 7 wins would be a good season. 7 wins would be a good season, I think, if I'm being honest. So
I think I have them pegged at 7.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Which is funny because preseason I had them pegged at like 5 or 6, so we'll call that improvement.
Right. Let's talk about Oklahoma. So they got absolutely crushed by TCU, 55-24. Sooner quarterback Dylan Gabriel took a shot, and it was nasty looking when you saw it on TV, even in the replays. I mean, but it was one of those hits that you go, whoa, how do you get up from that? It was late. It was targeting. It was bad. Everything about it. I'm sure he'll be out this week for the Red River rivalry, but I'm not 100% certain that he's been ruled out.
Who's their neurological trauma consultant?
Well, this is the gig that guy got when he got fired. Now he's college. They can get him back in.
Oklahoma has hired. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I gotta tell you this joke. Somebody posted a picture of the guy who got popped by Bobby Wagner running on the field with the thing.
Yeah.
And it said the first comment was, "Dolphins have cleared this guy to return to play." Oh, too good.
Yeah,
too good.
I'm
but,
sure.
But yeah, no, this was terrible. It was an unnecessary hit.
Yeah, it was really bad. He was sliding. He was down. He was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was not even. It wasn't even the beginning of the slide. It was mid slide, and it was really
Being fair,
bad.
Slow motion looks bad. It always does. It's
Right.
hard to tell. This guy might have.
I don't know.
But it wasn't good. It wasn't smart.
It wasn't smart. But Oklahoma, nonetheless, Oklahoma's lost the last 2 games, and really not. They were not. Even though the game against Kansas State was close, they were really playing from behind the whole game.
Yeah.
And this game was just awful. They just looked bad. With or without Gabriel, it didn't matter. So there's that. Oklahoma and Texas are going to meet in that Red River rivalry with both teams unranked, and Texas is not back, and clearly neither is Oklahoma. So got more on that to follow. Georgia escaped Missouri.
That's the best way to say that.
With a 26-22, they escaped Columbia with a 26-22 win over the Missouri Tigers, and it was ugly for Georgia through 3.5 quarters. The last 2 drives of the game, they scored touchdowns on to pull this one out because they were losing 22-12.
It was Missouri's game to lose.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, not taking anything away from Georgia, they're a fantastic team, but Missouri made some weird decisions.
Yeah.
Play-wise, and Georgia absolutely capitalized.
They didn't know how to play from the lead. A lot of teams don't.
Especially against them, right?
Yeah.
These fans might rush the field at any moment. What are we going to do?
A lot of teams don't know how to play from ahead. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not as easy as you think it is. You can't just stall and run out the clock against a great defense. They're going to stop you and take away the ball or whatever. But, I mean, you've got to keep making plays. And my personal belief is when you're the underdog and you're playing in a game like this, and you've got the other team on the ropes, you do not let off the pedal. Keep doing what you did to get to that lead, and don't stop it.
Yeah.
Don't stop. There's no reason to.
The answer is simple. Keep your foot on it until
Yeah.
you're 35 points up with 5 minutes left.
And then forget it. And then you can worry about it. But until then, if you change the play calling, oh, well, I need to run the ball to run some time off the clock. Would you run it here normally? If you wouldn't, then don't.
If you wouldn't, then don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So
because
anyway.
you're going to throw your team out of rhythm and you throw your players out of rhythm.
Exactly. Don't
They're
slow
gonna
down.
be all antsy. They want to beat your guys want to beat the crap out of this team.
Yeah.
They don't want to marginally win it.
Right.
So when you tame them back, you're absolutely going against anything you've said about go 100%. Go full pads every time. Get into it. Like now it's like, oh no, restrain for a few minutes.
Right.
Tough, but yeah, they escaped. Yeah, that's a good way to say that.
That's exactly what happened. So what else we got here? So we got Ole Miss and their crappy helmet that they I don't understand. Did you see the Lane Kiffin interview when he's wearing that like shirt that has that pattern on
terrible.
it?
Yeah, it looks terrible.
Somebody was saying it looked like he was getting ready to run a NASCAR race, like a NASCAR jumpsuit.
Somebody said when the stoner guy comes into your shop to ask you for something because he's just a ridiculous visor and everything.
Yeah.
I will say I love those jerseys.
The color, I love the light blue color with the red. It looks really good.
I like Old Miss's jerseys, even though they're very simple. I like their red and their baby blue. And
I just like think all of the colors. Looking. Their color scheme is great.
But that helmet's
that's ridiculous. I mean,
it made it past quality control.
It's like Oregon pink. Anyway,
maybe just don't do it.
Ole Miss beat an overrated Kentucky team, and that's the best way I can phrase it. 22-19 to remain unbeaten. They're 5-0. Although, in my opinion, both teams are overrated because it's the SEC, and that's what we do. We rank them all in the preseason, and when they beat each other, we just swap positions and say that it was a great win for them. Well, Kentucky's not that good a team. I'll be honest. They're not that good a team. The SEC is down this year compared to years past.
It seems like that. Miami or not Miami. Oh my gosh, Alabama has struggled. Georgia now has struggled in a game.
2 games in a row, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot that's not. They're not looking as dominant as they had in years past. Where you were a lock to mark them down.
Right. So
they're probably still going to win games. You're not feeling about that spread.
I would still pencil Georgia and Alabama in to be in the playoff, but outside of that, I don't think there's a team that can really threaten them. In the conference, Tennessee maybe, if Tennessee can show they can beat Georgia. But
Tennessee is the big question mark because they're playing a style of offense that is not SEC friendly. So either it's going to work and disrupt your defenses, disrupt defenses across the league, or it's not going to work, and you're going to have a game where you score 4 points or 5 points, and no one's going to care. So, I think it's looking more like it's going to work than not.
We'll talk about them here in just a minute more. Penn State beat Northwestern in a downpour, 17-7 in Happy Valley. They stay unbeaten. They're 5-0. There were 8 combined turnovers in this game. Penn State lost 4 fumbles and had 1 pass intercepted and still won. That's how bad Northwestern is and how bad the conditions were. Just a terrible game to watch if you're watching it. But, hey, they remain unbeaten, and that's all that matters, right? A win is a win is a win unless it's a Pac-10 win or a Pac-12 win, and then it doesn't count.
And then it needs to be a win over a good team.
Right.
And then it needs to be a good win.
Right. So UCLA kind of manhandled Washington for a while, and Washington made it closer at the end than the score indicated. And it wasn't garbage time touchdowns. It was real touchdowns.
It was a single-score game with like 8 minutes left.
Yeah, 40-32 was the final. But it was interesting. It was an interesting football game. But UCLA looks good. That's a good-looking football team.
Offensively, they look like they've got no weakness.
Right. Yeah, whether they can whether they can outscore everybody is a whole nother question, and that was been a Chip Kelly hallmark for a while. If you can outscore everybody, you're going to win every game. But if you can't, then But anyway, I don't know how good either of those teams really are, but I think UCLA is good enough to where I say they're a good football team, could win the South. That's good enough. Washington, I don't think can win the North. I don't think they're that good. I think they're going to lose a couple more games.
I'm torn on them because they have a really good quarterback.
They do.
I really like the way he plays, which hurts me to say.
Yeah, but I just they're a question mark in my mind. But anyway, it's still good to see a lot of ranked Pac-12 teams because that just helps Oregon. So in the end, the whole Pac-12 in general.
Yeah.
So I got to get this up. So that brings us to the new AP poll, right? Which is out, and we can look at this now.
Quick little interjection.
Yeah.
Is 12-9 Colts with 2:50 left, counting down. The Broncos are going for it on 4th and 1 from the 5-yard line of the Colts. If they don't get this first down, they will lose this game.
They're trying to win the game.
They call a timeout. So yeah, play for the win on the road.
You don't want to. Colts could have a second tie if Denver decides to kick a field goal.
They should not. They should not. I mean, for Nathaniel Hackett's sake.
You got to go for the win. You got to go for the win.
Well, I mean, but I'm trying to say, like, people are very critical of this offense. I mean, they just drove, 75 yards down the field or 70 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Again, I think you need to score. I think
right.
that. But also, is it the worst thing to tie?
No, but it almost counts like a loss when you deal with tiebreakers and whatnot.
Yeah, and there's 2.5 minutes on the clock. You kick a field goal. You're liable to let them walk back down the other way.
If they come down and score another field goal, they win. So
yeah. So I don't like it. Go for it. Get the first down. Come on now.
I don't know what I would do. That's a good question.
I mean, I would do. It's so funny. Did you ever see a Family Guy episode? It's all right. People tune out if you don't like gross things. Where what's his name's dad had his balls were oversized and he was carrying them in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
People put that meme up for Jonathan Smith after he kept winning games early in the season by going for it. Like when he won at what was it, San Jose or San Diego, wherever he played. They put that like Jonathan Smith leaving the stadium.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so this is a Nathaniel Hackett moment. Like you need to go for this. You need to win this football game.
Here's your Well, while we're doing that, here's your AP top 25 for Week 6. By the way, Alabama's number 1 again. Georgia has more first place votes than Alabama, but clearly got more third place votes than Alabama because they're behind them. But it's only 2 points separating the two. And knowing that the two have to play and one of them is going to get a loss at some point. I mean, Ohio State's hanging out there with Michigan, knowing the two teams have to play. One of them is going to get a loss at some point. There's USC, Clemson, who I don't think should be 5. I think the ACC is kind of terrible, and I don't think Clemson's very good. I mean, they're good. They're just not very good. USC at 6, I still don't know how good USC is. I think their offense is great, but I don't think they've been tested defensively. You know what I mean? They haven't played anybody that can score a bunch of points.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see that. Oklahoma State, I think, is a good team. I think that's a good football team. Probably the best in the Big 12. Ole Miss, I think, is overrated. Tennessee is your sleeper there. Tennessee's that team that I don't know how good they are, and I want to find out, but I need them to play somebody before I can tell.
Broncos just lost.
Yeah, well, that happened.
Threw an incomplete pass into the end zone. Instead of running the ball on 4th and 1, we threw into the end zone.
They can't run the ball.
But we've been running. We've actually been able to run the ball the back half of this game.
Well, in general for the season.
Doing?
So Ole Miss at 9, Penn State's 10. Then there's the Pac-12, Utah and Oregon, 11 and 12. There's that Kentucky team that fell 6 spots, but Ole Miss went up 5 spots to replace them because that's what we do. NC State dropped 4 spots. They're 4-1 now. Wake Forest. There's the other ACC teams, and then you've got BYU at 16, TCU, UCLA, Kansas is where game day is this week. They're 5-0. Kansas State is at 4-1, and I think they're more dangerous than they look. We'll find out. Washington fell to 21st. Syracuse is still unbeaten. If you like ACC drama. Mississippi State at 4-1, Cincinnati at 4-1. LSU is 4-1 after losing that opening game to Florida State. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how good a lot of these teams are. I think that there's a huge drop off between the top 4 or 5 and the rest. But we'll know more in a couple more weeks.
So. Yeah, there's still a lot to find out. Yeah, a lot of these teams are going to play each other here soon.
Yeah, for sure. And shoot, where am I going? I gotta find the right spot. There you are. And I gotta do this just so I can swap things that I'm trying to show you because there's things. I got lots of stuff to show you. Games this week. Game in week 6 in college football. These are the best games that I can find. And they're not ranked in any order of ranking like these are number 1's the best game, but TCU and Kansas are playing both 5-0, both ranked. That's where game day is. That's a big game.
Yeah.
Utah plays at UCLA. Also a huge game to see if Utah's a top 10 team or if UCLA is really that good.
Right.
Ohio State plays at Michigan State. Michigan State's lost 3 straight, but any Big Ten game on the road is tough, especially if elements get involved. You never know. That Tennessee LSU game, I think Tennessee's going to blow out LSU. Even if it's in Death Valley, I don't care. I think they're going to blow them out. That Arkansas Mississippi State game is going to be good to watch. Texas A&M and Alabama. I don't know how good Alabama is. Texas A&M could fall to 3-3. This is a team that was ranked, I think, 6th to start the season, or 7, 5, something like that. They're always overrated to start the year. Every year, Texas A&M is in the top whatever, and every year they do this.
Yep, every single year.
And this year it's worse than others.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that Texas-Oklahoma game. Still going to be a good football game, even though neither team is great. BYU at Notre Dame is a sneaky good football game. I don't know how good Notre Dame is. I know I've got a couple of losses that were meh, and their wins are kind of meh. But BYU playing on the road at a Notre Dame team, I mean, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. North Carolina at Miami. Miami lost to Middle Tennessee State at home. That's interesting. And then the Washington State USC game, which Washington State can pose a lot of problems. We saw that in the Oregon game. They have a good offense. They've got a very dynamic playmaker in Cameron Ward. But I don't know how good they are. So we'll find out. Which one of those games would you watch if you could only watch one?
Washington State USC.
Okay, there we go.
I think it's the most interesting. All the other games are good games nonetheless, but Washington State USC is the most interesting because I think Washington State's better than people think they are, and I think USC is worse than people think they are. I think that's the one that's most ripe for a big upset.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
So last couple things we're going to talk about real quick. About a minute for each one. Portland Timbers. If the playoffs started today, the Portland Timbers would be in and the number 6 team in the West. Thanks to their 2-1 loss to LAFC on Sunday, they must wait until the last game of the season to find out if they even make the playoffs. There's a chance they don't even get in, but they play Real Salt Lake in a win-in-you're-in game. The winner of that game will automatically be in the playoffs. The loser has to wait the outcome of the other games, or they'll know pretty much when the games end. They can still get in with a loss, but Minnesota has to lose to Vancouver as well. Anyway, Timbers could finish as high as 4th if things go their way. So they could be 4th or they could be out. And we just don't know. And that's the problem. If they had tied LAFC, they would be in the playoffs now. But anyway, long story short, got to wait till the last game of the season. If you like drama, you'll see it on Sunday. And then the Seattle Kraken has started the year 4-1, the preseason. Though it's just preseason, don't get your hopes up. But they're winning games and they look better than they did last year. Last year it was a dumpster fire pretty much all season long. They couldn't play defense. This year they in 3 of those 5 games they gave up 1 goal or no goals. So they look a lot better than they did. Preseason hockey is one of those things where I don't feel like it's the same as preseason football or basketball. I feel like they're actually out there trying.
I do too. Yeah. I feel like they're going hard on it.
Yeah, it actually looks like the real thing. But what do I know? I could be all wrong. Do you have anything you want to talk about today?
Broncos suck. They lost. So
well,
is what it is.
Broncos fall to 2-3. But the good news is they're not in last place in the division until Las Vegas beats Kansas City, if that happens. The Colts are now 2-1, right? And they're right where we thought they'd be. Right there in the thick of the yeah, right in the thick of the playoff race.
That's funny.
At 500, because I still would like to see him have tied, though. That would have been awesome to see a team tie more than once in a season. Well,
now I would have too.
You take the tie now?
I'll take the tie over the loss any day.
I said that earlier. I think we should go for it until we don't get it, and then I would rather kick.
I said I would. I want to see him go for it, but more specifically, I want to see him get it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. You did say that.
Yeah, I did say that. It is what it is. Like I said, used to being disappointed. It's a comfortable place.
It is a comfortable thing to know that, I feel okay with it. Since
I've been alive, my Broncos have 3 titles. Most people can't say that.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Feeling good about that. And I have a title in the last decade.
I have been complacent with most of my teams for quite some time, knowing that's true. It is okay.
The Mets had an amazing run.
The Mets do some good things.
At one point.
Yeah, the Mets do some good things. Still only have the one World Series title, though. So
was that 86?
86, yeah.
Yeah, okay, 86.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Dolphins haven't done much.
Well, they have 2. They have 2 World Series titles, 69 and 86. But I don't really remember the first one. I was, 1. So
I remember watching one of the Broncos Super Bowls in Germany.
Yes.
Because you had it on TV.
Yeah.
And it was late at night.
Well, it was actually early in the morning. Yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah,
Super early or super late, depends on how you look at it.
right.
I remember watching one of those.
Yep. Yeah, we stayed up to watch a couple of those things, but yeah, it was tough. Let's get to the trivia question and answer because we need to do the trivia question and answer. So that's not what I want to do. Let's go here. The Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question is brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the Vineyard is at 3827 Fletcher Drive. Open 7 days a week from 12 to 6 for indoor and patio dining. Downtown tasting room 12 to 6, Thursday through Sunday. That's at 210 Oak Street. Go to staveandstone.com, check out their selection of award-winning wines, or make a reservation and go taste for yourself. Call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750, or email them info@staveandstone.com for more information. That's Stave & Stone, winner of 2 gold medals in Sunset Magazine's 2022 International Wine Competition. So, award-winning wines. They have good stuff. I've had them. It's fantastic. But anyway, it's also a fun place. If you go out to the one, this is the picture you see on the screen right now, so that's the downtown tasting room. It's nice, and it's a cozy little atmosphere. They have live music on Friday nights. The one out at the Vineyard is fantastic. The outside, if you can go outside on the patio and get one of their little platters, charcuterie type platters, and have some wine, and you get to see views of Mount Adams and the whole vineyard out there, and it's just beautiful. There's a lavender farm right next to it. It's gorgeous. Anyway, that's my plug. So trivia question was, do we remember the trivia question?
Yes.
Barry Bonds holds the major league record and National League record for intentional walks in a season, 120. Who holds the American League record for intentional walks in a season? Got a guess?
Albert Pujols. No, wait. No. A-Rod.
That would be a great guess. I think A-Rod's a good choice because he hit a lot of home runs.
I said Albert Pujols, and I realized he spent most of his career with St. Louis.
We played for the Angels for a number of years.
Yeah, but A-Rod.
Okay, that's a great guess. It's not anywhere near correct.
Can I get a hint real quick? You're about to tell me the answer anyway.
He played at Washington State University.
Can I get another hint?
He played a long time ago. He played in the 90s. Into the early 2000s. He was like late 80s into early 2000s.
Nah, I don't know who that is.
Okay. He also played first base, and in college he pitched. He was a great pitcher. He didn't pitch in the pros, but he played first base. The answer, and I don't know how this happened. It's John Olerud. John Olerud.
Really?
Yeah, John Olerud had 33 intentional walks, right, in one season, and that's the record for the American League. It's not near 120 like Barry Bonds was. It's 33.
33.
Yeah, and
such a low number.
And the National League
A-Rod hasn't been walked more than that?
No, not in one season.
I guess not intentionally.
Yeah, so I started looking up the stats, and it I gotta show you. I'm not gonna really show you, but I'm gonna go over it. It was a mind-boggling. The National League holds like the top, I don't know, 20 or 30 single season intentional walk. Let me get down here. Let me figure out where it is, where he comes in to play. So at 33 bases on balls, John Olerud is 18th on the all-time list. The top 17 are all National League players. They did it in a season when they were in the National League. And Barry Bonds is on there 5 times or 6 times or whatever. Albert Pujols is on there 3 times. Adrian Gonzalez, Ryan Howard, Willie McCovey was on there a couple times. Sammy Sosa, right? You know who's not on that list up in the top? Mark McGwire. No
one was afraid.
Apparently not. Mark McGwire's highest season of intentional walks was 28 back in '98 when he broke the record for home runs at the time. Anyway, it was just weird. When I looked at it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's 33 compared to the 120 that Barry Bonds has the top 3 seasons, 120, 68, and 61. Those are the top 3. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Trivia for the day. It's a weird trivia stat that John Olerud gets.
That is a weird one. I would never have guessed John Olerud.
I would have never guessed that
I know the name. Yeah. I didn't watch him play, but I know the name.
Yeah.
I've heard it a bunch of times. Would never have crossed my mind.
Yeah. Played for the Blue Jays. He played for the Mets. He played for a number of players or a number of teams in his major league career. Let me look real quick just so I can throw that out at you. Also played for Seattle the Yankees, and Boston.
Nice.
But he played from 89 through 2005. Yeah. He was a good walk guy anyway. Without getting the intentional walks, he had a good eye. He didn't strike out a whole lot. He got a lot of walks. He was a good hitter. He hit 363 in 1993, and that was the year. That was the
93.
That was the year he got his 33 intentional walks. He hit 363 with 54 doubles, which was a league leading, and 24 home runs, 107 RBIs. He was fantastic, but you wouldn't expect a guy who doesn't hit the ball out of the park every time to be walked a lot, but he was walked a lot because the guy hitting behind him was not that good. Anyway, there's that. So there you go. Trivia question answered. Everybody loves it, right? There you
Yeah.
go. So again, I know, right? So that's over. So
that was a long show.
It was a long show. We had a lot to talk about, though. There was a lot going on.
It's been a while since I've been on the show. It's been a while since I was able to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been able to get this all done. But I'm glad we did a show this week. We're going to be off next week. I will be out of town. And then we'll be back the week after to do some fun, exciting, another great show. We'll talk about week 5 in the NFL, week 6 in college football, all that kind of stuff, and more. Major League Baseball playoffs still be going on. So we'll have that to talk about. And by then, the NBA is going to be opening up. So
yeah,
I think it's the 18th of October.
Blazers' first game is October 19th.
See that? Yeah, it's that for that week. So the week we come back and do a show, that will be opening weekend for the opening week for the NBA, also for NHL. So there's going to be a lot of sports going on over the next month between October and November, which is fantastic with me. I'm okay with it. Gives us a lot of stuff to talk about. Anyway, anything else you want to say before we go?
Yeah, Broncos, figure it out.
If they would just hire you as the coach,
or don't, just keep losing, so that way in 2 weeks I can watch football carefree.
As long as they're out of it, then yeah, you could just throw
don't tease me.
Throw your allegiance to someone else, and we're gone. We're good. Yeah.
Yeah, it I will say it is refreshing to be able to watch football midseason and go, my team sucks, so I'm just gonna judge you on yours.
Yeah, welcome to the Dolphins fans. So again, we're on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email us lambsports@gmail.com. We want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, ABC Sports, CBS Sports, Major League Baseball, MLS, NFL, NCAA, NHL, Formula One, and of course our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media LLC. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Well, 2 weeks.